Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our Krakow run here in Victoria 3. The last episode was a bit eventful. We managed to subjugate Austria, so the slave became the master there. So they are under our foot, not us under theirs. Oh, that how the tides have turned in 50 years of game time. We also managed to get Brazil as a subject, although stuff's kind of a little awkward over there. We won't talk about that. Also, speaking of awkward, you ever see Mexico occupy the US like that? Okay. And also what we did is we got our first war with Prussia, where we released Pomerania Danzig, which we were unaware was just going to be like this tiny treaty port. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it like that. We probably just would have taken West Prussia. But in any case, we also notably took the very, very great state of Silesia, and so we have begun kind of our reconquest of some of these Polish lands, looking to form eventually Poland, Lithuania. Next up is going to be Russia, with whom we have a little bit of a truce. We have a 32-month truce, so we can't fight them right away, and we're probably not strong enough. But to the end of getting strong enough, we waited. We waited until our relations with Great Britain and France improved, because we don't want to make them mad. We waited until they're plus 80, because we get a minus 30 hit when we form a power block. But I think we're going to form a power block here, and we have a couple of choices. So we've been having really long-standing convoy problems, so it would maybe make sense to make a trade league. Don't really hate this, although this would... okay, we would be fine with a trade league, but I think ideological union's one we wanted to test out in the particular case of when China splits up like this, because having someone in your market, when you go multiculturalism, that you can enforce their ideology on them, so we can force regime change, which allows passing of laws to be much easier, because we can force, for example, the industrialists to be in government, and then use those industrialists to pass the law. Because of that, I think we want to go ideological union to test out if this strategy of forcing open borders and siphoning is good in the context of this kind of detonating over here in China. And to that end, we've set ourselves up. We have got ourselves our statue, which has been gracefully saved, that we wanted to put in. Decided we would put ourselves on a pedestal, because why not? Horse rider, kind of a legacy of the Hussars, which is going to be partially how we flavor this thing out, which is also laurel wreath, which is nice. We could, of course, cannot forget our crude hoe, and how can you be a winged hussar without wings? So that's what we have here. It doesn't seem to save your primary color, but we're just going to reset it to a nice big deep red, something like this. And then we have griffins and eagle. Felt that this was mainly on theme here. I think the map pattern is flowers, but that's good. And then we are ready to form our power block. When we form it, negative relations, and this will also probably give them a diplomatic incident or a catalyst for getting a negative relation. And right now we have a defensive pact with both Great Britain and France. We hope that these hold, because this is a huge part of why I think we're even able to maintain our subjects, because our subjects, when they're thinking of declaring war for independence, they just look at our defensive pacts and they're like, yikes, no thanks. So we're hoping this doesn't break too much, but we will form an ideological flying commonwealth here. And now you can really get a good sight of kind of where it is that we have our influence, which is kind of spread all over the map. Got a big chunk in Brazil. We don't have Argentina. I thought we had Argentina as a subject, but okay. We have kind of a bit of radiating power, and of course the flying commonwealth here. Now we are going to have 3-year cooldowns on our mandate progress, which I thought we would get a little bit more, but we have a bunch of minors and unrecognized power members who are giving us some stuff. I guess more minors would be better, and so we will slowly develop up our thing. I think in terms of, we can't look at the principles. In terms of principles we're looking towards, I think we're looking at, we have really significant convoy problems, and so it's maybe the case that we want to use some of our early ones on market unification. Also, we have a ton of subjects. Vassalization would maybe be good, giving us extra income transfer, and eventually, okay, maybe authority, just the authority per subject is okay. But what we really want to do to kind of ramp up the migration is freedom of movement. Now, this is completely busted right now on the version I'm playing. I'm assuming the live version doesn't go out this way, but currently these modifiers stack and are not on a per state basis. So if you built 50 arts academies in different states, then you would get 50 of these bonuses applying globally to your country. We might do that. Kind of don't want to do it because it's super OP right now, but it's also like what we would want to do with this strategy of trying to siphon off Chinese pups. But this is what we're going to do. Hopefully the attitudes of both France and Great Britain hold. You can see that now they're amicable, which is why we wanted to wait for them to get to 80, because amicable is a break point at 50. So if you have plus 80, you will not decay below amicable, which I think is more likely to trigger a negative catalyst for them forming some sort of negative association, which we pretty actively didn't want to happen. I'm not sure I've ever been so excited to unlock gantry cranes. We're of course going to switch to ironclads so we can do steamships to do modern ports, but this has been a yikesy. It's also negatively affecting our subjects a lot more than it is us. We're just going to sort by where there's job seekers, and we are just going to absolutely crank up kind of ports here. Especially, yeah, we're just going to build a lot of ports. Alright, we've been in a special kind of struggle in regards to trying to get our government up and running, which has been really, really rough because we've been in unacceptable government for forever because of Austria's cheeky installations and enforcements and this Catholic Church guy being on top. And there's light at the end of the tunnel, because we have an heir now, which means we can use the abdicate mechanic at a timely fashion, where we want to abdicate in particular to a revolution that's brewing, like this Poor Laws revolution, that has someone who supports a government type that we like at the very tip top of it. So, what we're going to do is when this becomes okay. The Catholic Church being the strongest one is something that we kind of expected would happen here. And so what's going to happen now is if we abdicate to this rev, we would actually enforce a theocracy, which is not what we want. So we're going to need to find a way to make the Catholic Church weaker instead. So let's remove a bunch of consumption taxes. And then we are going to come in and we are going to suppress the Catholic Church. To be fair, we just passed we just passed total separation, which should decay them down anyways. And so I think that what we're going to do is we're just going to pretend, we're just going to try and pass a law that we like currently. We had a little bit of a scare in terms of defaulting, and we deleted some construction, and if we're going to delete anything now, we have to delete it now. So this is maybe something to do. The rural folk dislike this. Let's not get so if the rural folk join this Poor Laws thing, I'm not sure what happens, because the anarchist actually supports anarchy, but in terms of the other stuff, what does he support? He supports Council Republic. So I think if we abdicated to him, we would get Council Republic, which I don't think we actually want. Well, we wouldn't mind a strong trade unionist. I just think we stay on interventionism. So maybe we're supposed to piss them off here. So if we come in and we could do colonial resettlement or exploitation, this will cause the rural folk to probably join this Poor Laws movement. Right? We're actually just trying to piss off the rural folk to force them to join that movement. Is it because they don't like Poor Laws specifically, do they? Or they don't have an opinion on Poor Laws that they do not instantly support? I don't think they do. We're probably going to try and use that boyo to pass multiculturalism. So, kind of... Oh man, these guys just keep revving. It's a little bit of a vibe. Pomerania might want to increase autonomy here. We reduced autonomy on them. This is a little bit rough. We can't abdicate to this, though. We're going to hope that the Catholic Church decays down below their clout here. And after which, I'm pretty sure we can abdicate, and that's the way it works. So, a little bit of a waiting game. We do have this kind of brewing up, but it shouldn't be too much of a deal. We'll just set our guy in, and we should be able to defend that. Alright, we're going to need to figure out a different context to abdicate to, because the abdication here won't work because this guy's actually an enlightened royalist. So, he will not actually support a swap off of monarchy. He loves monarchy, and you need someone who supports a different governance principle in order to get a swap, and because of that, this abdication won't work. However, we're already halfway to passing colonial resettlement, and our pillar creative legislature is actually kind of coming in quite nice because we're not stalling as much. And so I guess we're just going to pass it normally and then look for a different abdication spot. Wow. Okay, so, I mean, they got German leadership earlier, but am very shocked to see Prussia manage to form the North German Fed, which they just formed. Obviously, this is going to make them a little bit more formidable. We still got to take Posen off them. And West Prussia, I'm thinking, oh, they annexed Danzig as part of this. Okay, well, I'm thinking that our next war might actually be against them. To that end, I don't think we necessarily want negative relations with them, with Russia, but we don't have a good way of improving relations with them other than just using improved relations, which we don't quite have enough juice for. I suppose we could stop on someone else, so let's stop on Austria, who's quite rebellious, and improve with Russia. Maybe we can use Russia one last time to kind of fight now the North German Federation, which has a lot more coastal access than they did before. Very, very much so stronger. We also maybe made a bit of a mistake here. My thought was I wanted to use the recruit, and I wanted to get her because she has literary for infamy decay. I thought that this would be useful, and I thought our trade unionists will probably be in charge of the parliament, or there's a reasonable chance of this happening. But if this causes the rev to spill over, that wouldn't be good. But I think that we're going to get resettlement pretty soon, and then I think we pass poor laws kind of normally. And then we figure out some way to force the Intelligentsia to become revolutionary. And while we are passing poor laws, I think maybe we fire every general. We do a purge. We do a little bit of a purge. You like to purge sometime. We purge every general that is devout, every general and admiral that is devout or landowner. And I think that'll really kind of positively affect our nation. You know what I mean? In this great struggle to recover our nation, now that we have a power block, we get a little bit of luck with reforms at gunpoint, which is normally a negative event because you have to choose this option to keep going. But we actually want to pass this law anyways, and so we will enact poor laws, and now we'll have to see what they agitate for next. That is, they being this communist agitator that we have. Curious what they do. I mean, eventually we want to promote them to government because they have literary, they literally have it, and we see Council Republic is what they're agitating towards, which is super fine with us if this movement becomes revolutionary. Now, we're going to need to nudge it, because this is the movement that's going to become revolutionary normally, but we're going to have to do something to upset the trade unions, and I think that, well, actually, you know what? Once we pass this colonial resettlement, it might be enough to make the rural folk join the other movement once it's no longer an option, because they too support Council Republic because they have an anarchist leader, which is not normal, but it will help us to pass Council Republic. Unfortunately, as a result of the revs keeping on happening, which, to be fair, is in part driven by our subjects having really high liberty desire, right? This is giving increased radicals in a bunch of spots, combined with the fact that we have this significant problem from our convoys. Brazil kept revving, and we didn't have enough convoys to properly be able to supply our units, and we lost the revolution. So Brazil's now free, which is perhaps a little bit of fairness. We probably could have played it better so that we didn't lose Brazil there. So that's a little bit grim. We're currently kind of facing down default again, which is the struggle. But I think that we're going to pause construction for now, because we do have a little bit of an investment pool banked up. So hopefully the private queue can keep the construction going. We also got steamships, and so gantry cranes and the better PMs are coming in, so I'm hoping that we can solve this convoy issue a lot better here, and then we're about to get pushed through colonial resettlement. I think that we'll be getting it, and so things are rough, but like growing pains. So we finished this up, and now we're left with a little bit of a decision. Do we get some military tech under the knowledge that we are about to probably be fighting some pretty big fights, or do we go for something a little bit different? I kind of am into going for investment banks here, but on the other hand, we could go for something like malaria prevention. We really don't have a lot of pop. I don't know if we're kind of just giving up the African dream here. This would be the most flexible pick, and we do kind of like some of the things. So let's go in here on this. And who we're thinking of fighting, well, actually, we're just like constantly fighting these revs, and we have like no money. Wow, we're even losing money. The problem is we also can't increase taxes and still pass laws, because the higher taxes now give you -10 legitimacy, and we've just been stuck in this legitimacy hell for forever. Maybe we expanded too many, no, we don't even have that many universities. That's not Just like a lot of things have been feeling a little bit rough. So we have a revolution brewing now for Council Republic, which is exactly what we wanted, which is part of the reason why we invited this agitator, to make sure it would brew for something like this rather than just something random for the rural folk. And so what we're going to do is we're first going to rearrange our government. We're going to stop suppressing the Catholics. We don't really need to do that anymore. We're going to come in here. For a while, we were accidentally running high taxes or high government wages. And so we'll come in here and then we'll go, hey, you know what? We're going to put you guys in government. And the reason we're putting these guys in government is because when you abdicate, you will make everyone who's currently in government really, really ineffective for some period of time. So we're going to abdicate the throne here. We're abdicating to the revolution that's brewing for Council Republic. And so we will get this second option here, which will allow us to enact Council Republic immediately in government principles. So we'll swap. And it will also give 90% interest group political strength to armed forces, Catholic Church, and landowners. So we'll do this, and then we will be able to reform the government to something much more legitimate. These guys shouldn't be insurrectionary, but we will also take this time. We will take this time to go a purging, as everyone loves to do. We will take a look at all of our generals and say, hey, you know what? If you belong to one of the groups that we don't like, we're going to retire you because you're already minus 20 with us anyways, and you have no clout right now. So this should be a grand purging to fix our internal issues. This is called the art of the power block. This is the art of the ideological union. Only our government and ideology is allowed to be in place. Only the people we like. Everyone else has got to go. And so we'll say smell you later to all these people. So I realize we're getting like wrecked in the money and things aren't looking so good, but I think we have a really good opportunity here to fight Prussia because for whatever reason, they just decided to go Subaru mode on Russia here. So we're just going to kind of watch and see what war goals Russia puts in. But in particular, I don't know what this is about. They're just going for it. They're just trying to conquer/return all this. I don't think they win in a 1v1 against Russia because they're pretty weakened, and we see that Russia's not putting in too many war goals. So I think what we can do is I think we can go after Posen ourselves and maybe the others place and try and do this. We see that the French can't join against us. Russia can't join against us. Great Britain can't join on our side. They must have a truce, but they're not going to join against us. Austria's not feeling too frisky, but we're going to go for it. We also already have our army mostly mobilized, kind of without any conscription edicts. I don't know exactly how much army we are going to need for this. Did we successfully? Yeah, we did successfully deal with that. I think we have to deal with another uprising. There's the one here. And so since we're already mobilized, that's actually kind of nice. We'll just be able to come back here and maybe try and deal with it. I think that you can maybe come to this front. It's kind of awkward having so many fronts. We also have this down here, which is the most awkward front. We also, after purging all the generals, can of course recruit a bunch of generals. I'm a little leery about recruiting Intelligentsia right now because we might specifically want a humanitarian one or try and force one before we get multiculturalism. But we do have 2 multicultural guys, so maybe that's not too big a deal in the trade unionists and the rural folks. Still waiting on the election to really shake up the clout here. And so currently, like, in the lead is the Liberal Party, but we're expecting the Democratic Party or the Social Democratic Party to be looking a little bit better, but I guess we're not on universal suffrage, so we're on census suffrage still. So that's a bit of a confounding variable there. So this is why we wanted to declare it at this spot, even though it was a little bit questionable in terms of our own military strength, because Russia's doing most of the heavy lifting for us. They're almost certainly going to enforce on them first. We're swapping because we're kind of not being the best about swapping stuff over. And we'll still be able to get some occupation. Hopefully we don't get a bricked front where Russia forces them to capitulate and then we have to deal with them after, but also Russia's just inflicting a ton of casualties on them. And so we're a little bit bummed that we didn't get the occupation here. That would have been really, really convenient because we would have been able to enforce really easy. But we have to get Posen, but we can't get Posen but I think that they can't enforce on us because they don't have Pomerania or Silesia, so they have neither, and so we should be in pretty good shape here to enforce this war. We just have to see what happens when Russia Russia forces them out, if we have enough left over to fight the leftovers of North Germany. Alright, it's close, but we do seem to be kind of having the upper hand here. Hopefully we can maintain it and they can't just recruit back up. We're currently pushing in on the capital, and so things are looking good for grabbing Posen. We also do get a subject in the form of this guy over here, but again, we are really struggle busting our way through what's going on here. And the fact that we have revved here, we're just paying so much in interest and a lot on goods for military buildings. Really, the goods for military buildings are a huge sink for us. Ooh, we accidentally had good voyages a little high. So, can we do this without... Nope, that's a no-no button. I think that... I don't know how necessary us keeping the enlistment effort on is, but we have to delete stuff now, because you can't... The thing with default is that what happens is it creates a ramping throughput negative modifier, and if you let it spiral, it just spirals super out of control. So, we really want to stand some of this down. I suppose, look, the numbers look just absolutely insane on our side. If we lose a big chunk of conscripts and then are able to gain some more taxation out of it, that'd probably be okay. So let's do this. We also, I think, will delete some construction sectors either way. So here, it's in decrees. We will come in and we will get rid of this enlistment efforts decree, which is going to get rid of some of our conscripts. So hopefully we don't lose the war over that. We'll be able to put that one in. We'll be able to come on the construction sector. We really don't have a lot of construction sectors left. We're really kind of just... yeah, we're in a little bit of a struggle mode. We probably overbuilt institutions as well, but we'll try and increase some of these things. Can we afford that? Yeah, we can. Okay. You know, tax capacity is a little bit of a bizzle, and I think that we're just not used to... We're super used to playing on laissez-faire, where you just go burr, and we're just not very much not used to having the debt reduction. And to be fair, I think we actually might even want to go laissez-faire after this. Mutual funds is going to be nice as well, but I think that, yeah, I think that we can go that after this. This war is a little bit... We really need to be able to stand down our army is the thing. We're just like caught in a really weird spot. We have to get this fixed. Shoot. Okay, so we decided to delete a couple universities and just run high taxes anyways. We're also going to take a look at... We're currently paying a little bit in subsidies. They're mainly from the railway. We're going to take a look at turning on railway PMs where we can to also save a little bit of money there. We're not super microing super sweatily, and maybe we should be a little bit more. And that should help out. But this should be enough to claw us back from having this negative balance in a couple of weeks. And so hopefully things will be shaping up then, or at least give us enough time to demobilize the army, because I mean they're at 0-0, so all we have to do is just win through this, and so and I think they'll be about ready to capitulate. So we just have a couple of battles here, and I think that see the thing is look, 17% throughput, it's increasing more and more and more, and it just cataclysmically collapses you. So we are definitely like super cutting things close. You can see the balance is getting worse and worse. We're starting to get a bureaucracy deficit. We're just running this negative legitimacy. We're so close to getting out from under it. Do we get... Okay, we get the thing there. So maybe... Oh man, I want to stand down the army here. We're also getting an offensive defense malice. We'll just stay with most of the army. And... this is like the sweaty micro situation where we're going to need to assign as many guys to different fronts as possible. I don't know where his army's at. God, this is like this is an unholy amount of front spaghetti too. I think that we want to keep this army a little bit close to kind of the central action. So hopefully our assignments are decent here. We are enforcing them down. We definitely want Posen. Can we get everything? Oh, the war reparations are going to be huge for us. I guess we don't need the revoke claim too much, so we're just gonna do this just to get like out from underneath this. And then here with Posen being acquired, this is gonna increase our line of credit because it's based on the ownership of the buildings, and since we own Posen, we're gonna do that, and we should be out from under it. We just need to wait one tick, and then the throughput modifier goes away, and then we are saved. And then we could decrease taxes back down so we could actually pass our law. And that is a super, super sweaty situation there. A big part of it is, again, us just being unacceptable for such an extended period of time because we haven't been able to run the taxes as high as we would have liked. But I think that we also get rid of or stand down this army just to kind of reset things. I don't think... I guess we should have seen what conflicts we were involved in first, huh? Maybe. I think we're winning, or they're winning that for us. The Pomeranian revolt are they occupying it? Ugh, yikes. I guess we are currently losing that, but we can fix that up. And then this war is, are we even involved? Or we all are involved. Okay, well, we'll figure that one out as well. But that was a super sketchy situation. But now we just have one more territory to take off of Prussia, so we're in really good shape. Also, we noticed a little bit late, but this gentleman here, the guy who's in charge, this guy, he's cautious, which means we can use him to generate less infamy. So that's going to be pretty nice for us as well down the line. Okay, I think the time has come for laissez-faire. The reason being is we have this investment pool. Now, I don't know what percentage of this reinvestment is... Actually, it's pretty easy to tell. 53K of this is from financial districts, and the rest of it is from government ownership applying. What we have going on here is that this... If we were to get 25% extra on top of this, the free money modifier we would be effectively getting would be around 12K. But also, we would be decreasing our debt and gaining an extra company by going to laissez-faire. If we take a look at government dividends, what's going to happen is that these are going to effectively get cut in half. And so we're going to lose 5K in terms of a free money modifier, in terms of money getting annihilated. But since we have a large enough ownership class now, it makes a lot of sense, I think, for us to transition to laissez-faire. So what we're going to do is we're going to go laissez-faire. On top of that, these guys weren't happy before, and now they should be happy, or they were happy before, and now they're happier. In either case, we are going to be using them to pass laissez-faire, which is going to be nice, giving us the extra company is also a huge deal, as is the fact that we will pay significantly less in interest, and so I think we'll be able to crank up to maybe 300 construction and really start to go burr. We have quite a bit of peasants still. We've only employed up around 60% of our pops, and we are getting quite a bit of additional pops pulling from our market, which includes Austria. So like Austria's pop, I imagine, is okay, it's going down very slightly, but overall its trajectory is somewhat flat, so they're feeding us pops right now, which is going to be good for us. But this transition to laissez-faire, really kind of liking that. It seems that in different phases of the games, or on certain conditions, interventionism is better versus laissez-faire being better. We saw, like, way earlier on, when we had almost entirely government ownership, and we didn't want to put stuff up to be privately owned, we saw that the interventionism just seemed way, way better, and now it's starting to turn back the other way, and laissez-faire is starting to look better. So we're going to transition to laissez-faire here. So we've earned our first principle, decided to go with Construction 1 because I thought that this was the most impactful, and we're acquiring them really slow, so I thought it would be less useful to go for a Tier 3, or to plan on going for a Tier 3 when we weren't getting a lot of, principle mandate progress. Currently, we have no cohesion, and part of it is because guys have to be similar ideology to us, and also it's because some of them hate our guts, and also we have low leader legitimacy, relatively low. And so we're working to solve that, but I think that in retrospect, conquering a whole bunch of little guys is maybe not as useful as it used to be. It's not the thing it used to be, and one of the big problems is we can't reduce autonomy on these boyos and look to kind of integrate them very easily. And so I think what we might do is we might start cutting some of these guys loose. Like these guys, there's not a lot of resources here to be had, and if we cut this guy loose, I don't think that he stays inside of our block, but this is going to help us in a few ways. We're not going to have as much convoy requirement. there's not a lot. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of resources here. Maybe that's like not worth it. I'm not entirely sure, but like I think that we should have been conquering a lot of these places instead of going for subjects with the intention of reducing autonomy, because we haven't been able to reduce autonomy on like anyone. So definitely getting used to like what is the new kind of meta here, because these guys have to have low of this in order to do it, and maybe it's just because we really don't have that high of prestige because we started off as such a small power, but we can't. Everyone's super disloyal, so we can't reduce autonomy, so we can't annex these people, so we're just kind of stuck in this perpetual vassal swarm without being able to fully make use of them the way we'd like. But anyways, I think we're going to conclude the episode here. This episode, I do feel like we've kind of fixed the ship a little bit in terms of our political situation. We're Council, Republic, Census, Suffrage, which is kind of a mix that we don't see too often. I think we're maybe fine with it because we do want to actually go laissez-faire and be capitalist-y, at least for now. I suppose we could go cooperative ownership, but I don't think it's very good right now. Also, one of the things that we were excited for in 1.7 is when your subject revs, you can side with the other side, which we would have gladly done with Brazil several times when they had rev, but the problem is that you can't, if you're involved in another play, you can't swap sides because you can't like side against yourself. So if you're involved in another play, you don't have this function, which is a little bit frustrating because we would have gladly sided with the other side. So like us not getting Brazil is big sad. But I mean, we have Austria as a subject. We're playing as Krakow. I think we're in okay enough shape. But I think we're going to need to try and figure out. I think that ideological union was maybe a little bit of a mistake, and we should have gone for the vassal swarm one, just off the back of the fact that, well, I mean, we wanted to try the thing, but the thing is we have too many subjects, and I think that we have to actually use our ideology power, which is, of course, forced regime change, to get people more in alignment with us, generally speaking, and we have too many people out of alignment with us, and that this is causing problems. We really want to annex a lot of these guys. I don't think there's, like, anyone here that we don't want to annex except the Chinese ones, which we want to use as pop batteries, but, okay, United Principalities. Who's that? Wait, what? Oh, okay, it's this. Yeah, sure, fair. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. You know, do the YouTube algorithm thing. And other than that, have a good one.